My name is Robert Fries, and my title is branch manager for the Phoenix branch of the Camper Connection. I've worked in the RV industry about 2 years. What I enjoy about the RV industry is the opportunity to be able to connect people and their families with the outdoors. The fact that I am able to provide another way for people who might not otherwise be able to take an RV out and explore Arizona or even outside of Arizona. I've had RVs go as far as New York, they've gone up to Yosemite, lots of different destinations. And the fact that I'm able to help families be able to do this is really a fantastic opportunity, because what it does is getting outdoors and camping gives people the opportunity to connect with their families and for their families to grow stronger together. And being a part of that I think is an amazing thing. I wanted to start an RV business because a couple years ago I started a short-term rental business, and my sister and brother-in-law kind of got the idea that that might be a way for them to get an RV. So what they did was they came to me one night with an idea of they were going to buy an RV, and they wanted me to rent it because they didn't want the headache of managing the rental aspect of it. They just wanted a way to be able to afford to own the RV and not have to worry as much about payments for the RV itself or for insurance. So what I did, I said, yeah, sure, let's do it. I took it on. It didn't really go that well at first. At first, though, it was really slow because they got a toy hauler, so it's big, it's huge. So it limited the customer base for them. But once it started to pick up to where it was getting averaging about 2 rentals a month, it started to click for me, and I was like, hey, this is a good business. So I started looking into it more and trying to see how I could scale it for myself. And that basically led to me connecting with a company called the Camper Connection, which basically was the game changer for me. When that happened, what it did was give me the tools that I needed to be able to really expand my business and not have to recreate the wheel. I started using RVnGO about 2 years ago. I have one RV listed on RVnGO right now. I find the most popular type of RV that renters are looking for are drivable RVs, Class Bs and Class Cs, something that's small enough that it doesn't intimidate them like a big bus, Class A, and a lot of people aren't able to tow for whatever reason. However, on the towables, my most popular ones are the teardrops, like you see in the background. As a host, one of the things that I'd like for my guests to know and to also understand is the need for planning. There's actually 3 different things. The first one is the need for planning and knowing what you're going to do on your trip and having a well thought out plan, but at the same time being flexible with your plan because things are going to happen. There's going to be hiccups on the trip. And understanding that is really important because it's going to mess up your plan. So what is really important to know is to reach out to your host and let them know that you're having an issue as soon as possible. The sooner you do that, the quicker they can help you fix whatever the issue is, whether it's small or large, and get you back to having fun, which is the reason why you're renting an RV in the first place. The second point that I'd like to mention is that there's going to be additional fees. While RVnGO doesn't have a service fee like some of the other platforms do, your host and owners are going to have different things. For instance, with my branch, we have a lot of consignment vehicles. So those vehicles are owned by somebody else, and so we're not going to negotiate with those in terms of things like your generator overages and your mileage overages, because those are the things that help the owners keep those vehicles maintained and keep them on the road and keep them safe for the renters. So we don't negotiate that. So, and then there's other things like cleaning fees and stuff like that, which sometimes, you know, there's a cost, especially if you're hiring cleaners, and we like to pay a livable wage to our cleaners. So those things we don't like to negotiate with. So it's just, we'd like for owners to, or for renters to understand that there's going to be certain fees that we're going to charge that are extra, and just be prepared for it. Finally, the last point is that keep in mind that one of the other things that you're going to need to plan for is the sleeping arrangements. Just because an RV is advertised as, say, sleeping 8, doesn't mean that it sleeps 8 comfortably. And so what you're going to want to do is maybe, you know, reach out to that host and ask them questions about it. How many does it sleep? What are the weight limits on the sleeping platforms? And then maybe just ask them their opinion about how comfortable it would be with the number of people that are in your party that you're planning to take out with it. As a host myself, the advice that I'd like to give to other hosts is really think of, if you're going to do an RV rental business, think of it as a business and treat it like a business. It can be really stressful, and you can build up a lot of anxiety when somebody's got your, you know, $50,000 or $100,000 RV out there as a perfect stranger, and you don't know how it's going to come back. And so you really need to be mentally prepared for that, and you also need to be operationally prepared to know how to deal with your RV when it comes back dirty or damaged, which is going to happen. And being able to understand that these things are going to happen and being prepared for them is going to go a long way to being successful and reducing your stress levels when you're managing your RV rentals. Yeah, I'd like to just really say to other hosts that it's really important to know who you want to serve. That is the key to my business, and knowing, building an avatar of your ideal customer is what is going to help make every decision that you can think of for managing your RVs and the business behind it. For instance, I build avatars for my ideal customer for every different class of RV that I have. Who is the person that I want to rent all of my RVs? Now, obviously, that doesn't mean that I'm going to get that person every time, but what it does is knowing intimate details about that person, what they like to read, what type of work they do, how old they are, how old their children are, if they have children, how many children, are they married, divorced, separated, all these little intimate details, like what do they want to read, that might not make a lot of sense, but if you understand that much detail about your ideal customer, that's what's going to really open up how you operate your business and the decisions that you make for your business, and that translates to happy customers, even if it's not your ideal customer.
What have you found your customers like to read, theoretically?
My customers, what do they like to read? They don't like to read the manual. That much I know. I haven't really discovered what they typically like to read, but they do not like to read the manual.